Hey, everybody. Welcome back to All Things Real Estate. I am your host, Ari Wintraub, and I'm excited today to have my guest, Diego Torres-Palma, who is a serial entrepreneur, real estate investor, running a company called Ventana Ventures. Diego is responsible for starting and running a well-known bar downtown called Benny Boy Brewing Company, and they are starting what I believe will become LA's greatest bar, opening soon on Melrose Avenue, called Pawn Shop. We're going to hear about that and his own very successful podcast called Startup to Storefront. Startup to Storefront also acts as a way that Diego can mentor other young entrepreneurs. And I'm excited for this conversation because I think there is a bridge between startups, VC, entrepreneurship, and brick and mortar real estate. So I want to look at that crossroads between the two and have a chance to get to know Diego. If you haven't already, I want to please ask you to take a moment to click follow, like, subscribe, put your notes or questions on the show. And without further ado, Diego, welcome to the podcast.
Thanks for having me on, Ari.
Yeah, we're looking forward to it, most definitely. So I know you have been quoted and you often say that entrepreneurship is something that inspires you.
Yeah.
Tell us how that is.
So to me, it's like entrepreneurship is basically the journey of self-discovery. And so it's really putting yourself in uncomfortable situations. And I think some people do that in sport. Some people do that in life. I think if you're passive about life, life will do it to you. And so, generally speaking, I think people find out about who they are in relationships, whether they're married or then when they have kids, they have to really discover, am I a mentor? They're forced to be something else. They're forced to grow.
Okay.
And I think that's one approach to life. I think the other approach to life is to put yourself in very uncomfortable situations that are aspirational, where you choose to do it. Most people choose to be an entrepreneur because they want to create wealth for their family or they want to solve a problem in the marketplace. And so I think for me, it's called entrepreneurship, but to me, it's a journey of self-discovery of like, what are you really made out of?
I love it. And so opposed to letting it just happen to you while living entrepreneurship is you're throwing yourself into this uncomfortable situation that you're going to grow from.
Yeah. It's the way I look at it is like you have really a few choices in life. You can work for somebody and hopefully they're great. Most of the time they're not. And so there's a lot of people that just complain about their bosses and that's okay. But from an energy standpoint, you're spending time complaining about someone else when I think you can take control of your own life and see how far you can take whatever ambition you have. And that's a lot of fun, I think.
So how do people do that? Let's break it down to begin with your journey.
Sure.
Give us your background, how you became an entrepreneur.
So for me, I went to school for civil engineering because that's what everyone told me to do. So my mom, my family, they were like, oh, engineers make good money. Same with like lawyers, doctors. So the same premise of go do one of these things that makes you successful, quote unquote. So I went to school, did engineering, graduated, was immediately making six figures, which in the community I grew up in, six figures, like over $100,000 was a lot of money. Everyone said that's the target. You're rich if if you hit that number.
Right. And where'd you grow up?
In Massachusetts.
Okay.
So in Western Massachusetts. So born in Peru, grew up in Western Mass in like I would call it like a middle class town, but that's all you knew, And so you're kind of like a goldfish in a small bowl. And then I made $100,000 and I was the guy buying all my friends' drinks at the bar, but I did not feel rich or wealthy at all. Like it was like, this isn't actually that much money after taxes and stuff. So then I remember going to the president of the company, of the engineering company I worked for, and I asked him how much money he made. Now imagine that. It's a kind of a crazy thing. You're 20, 21, 22 years old, and you go ask the CEO of this pretty large company, hey, we need to update the website. And by the way, how much money are you making?
Yeah, right.
And so he tells me, and I'm like, that's not a lot either. I'm just shocked.
Sure.
And he's like, well, I own the company. And I go, what is that? What does that mean? And he says, equity is the ticket. You need equity. You got to own something. And I was like, oh, got it. So entrepreneurship is a function of equity. You have to own your own business. And that's usually a path to success and wealth, equity. So I became like obsessed with this thing and I was like, got it. And then I'll say this very candidly. So then I moved to Boston and at the bar, telling a girl you're a civil engineer isn't very impressive. It was like crickets after. I was like, well, that's not going to work. So I was like, I need a better pickup line.
Yeah.
So I thought, okay, better pickup line plus equity. And so I started this, me and my two friends, we had this, one of my friends was really big into bow ties, like wearing bow ties.
Yeah.
So silly. And at the time,
My thing's pocket squares.
Okay.
No
Okay.
ties or bow ties.
So at the time it was 2010 and there was this guy, we were like shopping at Barney's or something. And there was this guy taking pictures on his BlackBerry of ties. And I was like, why are you doing that? And he goes, because ties are cheaper than shirts. So I come take pictures of ties. I go home. I layer the picture on top of my shirt at home. And I'll see what my wife thinks. And I'll come back and buy the ties. And I was like, that's a really interesting experiment, right? So I thought, okay, the App Store is brand new. Apple is starting to take over market share. What if we just upload high resolution bow tie images? And the reason we chose the bow tie is because it's the same size as an iPhone screen. So you can just put it to your neck. Simple. But the pictures are beautiful. And because you're not taking, like the cameras at the time were, like I said, 3.2 megapixel cameras. So they weren't very good. And so we launched this app. And it was like, try before you buy. And we were like one of the first to do this.
Yeah.
And in my head, we were going to become an app company. And so we would go to like Tiffany's and other brands and say, look what we did here. How can we do this for you?
Right.
Turns out we were way late to that party. But all of a sudden we were getting picked up in all these like fashion outlets for fashion meets tech. What does this mean?
Mm-hmm.
You know, and so we were like a pioneer in some weird way. Like we were in Brides magazine. We were being invited to Fashion Week. It was kind of crazy.
So this was your, beginning taste and
Yeah.
dipping the toe from just being an entrepreneur and trying to find something
Yeah.
with equity.
Yeah.
And then, so where did things go from there?
So then we had a bow tie company and we
Yeah.
were selling like a lot actually. And then we ended up, or at least I ended up selling my shares of the company, which was great. But it was like a fun journey.
Right.
And as a 20-something-year-old, it was a way better pickup line.
Yeah.
Which I think at the end of the day, if you're a young man, that's probably something you value. Like you're just trying to impress your friends.
Yeah.
So that's how I got started into
Great.
it. Yeah.
And then when did Ventana Ventures kick off?
So after that company, we started a parking data analytics company in Boston. And so like a tech company. So we got into this thing called Y Combinator in San Francisco, which is kind of like a tech haven where they give you mentorship and you meet a lot of legends in the game of tech. Like Sam Altman at the time was a partner. So he's running OpenAI now, but he was like just a regular guy running this Y Combinator program at the time. And so we got the FaceTime with him, which is kind of crazy. And it basically shows you what entrepreneurship is. And so I'll give you an example. So you're in like small groups every Tuesday and there's like it's like an accountability meeting and you go around and what did you do this week? What did your team do this week? And it's when I realized that hard work is really the thing. And a lot of people they don't understand it, right? And so in simple terms, it's like, if you went to the gym once a week and you're wondering why you're not getting results,
Right.
that would seem very obvious to
Sure.
somebody. In the tech game, in business, it's a little different. And so the example I'll give you is we were sending out 200 emails a day as a team. So 1,000 a week. And we were booking like 40 meetings for our tech platform.
This was for raising capital mainly?
No, we were trying to sell it first.
Okay.
So we were like, can we sell it? And then the capital came later. And other teams were doing 40 emails a week. And so this accountability meeting is when you see like, oh, these people have misunderestimated. Like they don't understand what it takes.
Right.
It takes volume. And then the other thing that it taught us was you have to experiment. Like I think a lot of people put a lot of emphasis on being right.
Mm-hmm.
And what I tell people today is more of like, you don't want to be the tech founder who's running a company for 10 years just to find out the market's not big enough.
Right.
You want to know the market's not big enough and as fast as humanly possible.
Right. Even by making a mistake.
Totally.
Right.
Because you don't want to put all your eggs in a basket for 10 years.
Right.
And then have been like, oh, I didn't see that. Right. You'd rather figure out. And so many people want to be like a founder of something that they're almost willing to put blinders on to the fact that
Right.
this thing might eat 10 years of their life.
Right. Opposed to like failing fast.
Sailing fast.
Yeah. I
exactly.
love that.
And so it inspired like the whole like test the hypothesis and then pivot immediately.
Right. No, the pivoting thing. The more that I'm progressing in real estate and getting around successful operators and people in any business, really, I'm finding that they're okay to pivot and change their mind. And successful people, I find, are doing that. Whereas, new people, they want everything perfect. They want to succeed, have a plan. But I see like, the more people that are further along, they're throwing things out there, they're making mistakes, they're pivoting, they're changing the game plan. They'll tell you they want one thing and then another. So there's something to be said for that. So what a great opportunity to get that experience. And that's when
Big time.
you guys, really got going with Antana.
Yeah. So right after that, I sold my shares of that company and then moved to LA and had no idea what I was going to do. And
like so many of us.
I was like, okay. And I did this fun exercise that I would like challenge everyone to do around like pros and cons about me, like you as a person. Like, yourself better than most people. So just like write down everything.
Okay.
And like everything. Like if you're good looking, write that down.
Sure.
If you think your height's an advantage, write that down. If you think you're like maybe being chubby in LA is in your head bad, but in reality makes you approachable, write that down. Like it was like write everything down and all the skills you had. And I had done that. And then I thought to myself, okay, so I know how to create something. I know how to have an idea. I know how to pitch investors. I know how to get capital. I know how to raise a team or hire a team. But what I don't know is like the politics of doing something like in development. So I thought that's a skill worth going to get. How do I go do that? And real estate development sort of felt like that. It was like I could bring all the skills with me that I've already accumulated, plus learn this new game of politicking in a land of LA where I know nobody. I don't know any politicians. I don't know any, but I've never been in real estate.
Okay, so development of a real estate,
Yeah.
bit like a storefront or a building.
It felt like a fun new challenge.
Okay.
Like a new opponent.
So how'd you take that on?
I literally just, first, so in the entrepreneurship game, there's this thing called entrepreneur in residence. And so generally, if you're a successful entrepreneur, other VCs will take you. You don't have too much money yet, but they'll take you and make you an entrepreneur in residence. And so you get access, you almost get to act like an investor.
Okay.
You see deal flow, you'll look at ideas, you'll see if you like them, you'll give your input. And so it's a fun way to get exposure as a venture capitalist without having any money.
Right.
And they pay you to do it. It's great because in some way you've done something successful in tech, so therefore you know something. So I would email like every real estate developer here in LA, and I was like, will one of you let me be your EIR, basically your entrepreneur in residence, but developer in residence? And they were like, we don't do that. We're familiar with the concept, but we don't do that. And I was like, yeah, no, I know you don't do it, but let's do it.
Okay.
And so some people would give me a lot of time, which was nice. And I would ask them how they started their company. And like, they were very kind. They were basically like, look, your first deal is going to go, it's going to suck, but you'll figure it out. And then second, third, fourth, great. And then by your fifth deal, it's the home run. And then you go. Then you have escape velocity, but it takes a while. So just stick with it. And I was like, okay, that's pretty good advice. And so then it just became about looking for deals, like looking for what do I want to bring? And there was a lot of trial and error. Like yesterday I was in Silver Lake and I was telling my girlfriend, I almost did a project in Silver Lake where it was like just houses. We were going to do 2 residences. It was a lot that you could subdivide. And I thought, oh, this is an opportunity. And that didn't end up working out, but I had gone pretty deep down the rabbit hole of the analysis of that. And so, but literally tried everything at the beginning.
Okay. Yeah. Very cool. So this is where you're getting your, feed into, real estate and developing.
Mm-hmm.
Tell us about the brewing company and where that's at and what your role.
Sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. So at some point I basically realized from a development perspective that I think I can be a developer. And I realized like most people in the hospitality business are really good at making food or beer. They're not really good at getting political approvals. And why would they be, right? And so it was like, if you can share your skill sets, you win. And overall, the consumer wins because now the consumer can experience something that all of this collective have put together.
Right. So you're saying there's a difference between, let's say, it's a food and bev company for like restaurant. There's like the chef, that's going to be, the operator and has a brand, a business idea. But then there's the people that develop the real estate and build out.
That's right.
Right. And so you're talking about playing both roles.
That's right. Usually they're separate.
Yeah.
Usually they don't even talk to each other and they don't even understand each other. And so in this scenario, so I got to LA and I was like, okay, I want to have a beer outside. This is like 2015, 16. I don't know why, but this is pre-COVID. You couldn't have a beer outside.
I know. Everyone talks about that. Like rooftops. Like
Yeah.
my friends from Lebanon, and they go, there's so many rooftops. Like everything's outdoors there. But in LA, we have great weather and we don't do it as much.
So it's confusing. So I was like, I just want to have a beer outside. Let's fix it. And so I literally on my Instagram posted being like, I'm looking for my next brewery project. Tag your favorite brewer.
Okay.
And somebody tagged Benny Boy Brewing, which is Ben and Chelsea. They were doing like small limited runs in a location in Chinatown. So not a storefront, but just like
in Manhattan.
R&D. No, here.
Okay.
Here in
you said Chelsea, so
Chelsea's her name. Ben and Chelsea, they're a married couple.
Okay.
And so they were doing like limited runs of beer for like R&D because they wanted to eventually get into the brewery game.
All right. They didn't have a bar or anything.
Zero. So
Got it.
I met with them, loved the product. I was like, this is really good. And then the second thing they were doing.
What's the product? Is it craft beer? What are they known for?
So
An IPA or?
It's two things. So it's Belgian traditional brewing methods. And so this beer
sounds so good right now, even though it's like 9 a.m.
It takes like 3 months or so to make. It's all naturally fermented, but it just tastes, it's a better product. It just tastes better. And they were also making cider. And so now I thought, this is so simple. 22 cideries in San Diego, one at the time in LA called Cider 101, but Cider 101 was not open to the public. So that it was just for events. And they would do canning. That's it. So I thought, you're in the largest gluten-free market in America,
right?
And you don't have a cider house. This doesn't make any sense. And I want to drink outside. Okay, can we solve the problems? And so sure enough, Ben and Chelsea are like, yeah, let's partner. Let's get this thing done. And I go, great. And so the political game is the game to development. And so I started
especially with liquor licensing. That's a real political thing.
All of it. It's brutal. And so I just started asking architects, anyone I knew, like, hey, look, who's the most senior person you know in Los Angeles that can help me, like, or introduce me to the right people? So I kept having all these meetings, and I started meeting these like connectors, almost like lobbyists, but people that had been in the political game for 20, 30 years under certain mayors and things like that. And so they knew everyone. They had appointed people to like the head of EWP, or, they knew everybody. And so I meet with them first. And when I meet with them, I say, look, we have this idea. So we haven't done anything yet. We have this idea of bringing this brewery to this area. This is the site we're looking at.
Which was where you are now, which is it Boyle?
Lincoln Heights.
Lincoln Heights, yeah.
Yeah.
So the east side of the 5 freeway.
Yeah. And so we met with, at the time, the council member was Gil Cedillo. And I said, hey, Gil, so the way LA is set up, there's 16 districts. Each district has a different council member. Those council members are basically kings of their districts. And what that means is if they don't want your project, they literally can shut it down.
Right.
And so I always, out of courtesy, meet with them first to say, hey, look, this is an idea we're trying to bring to your district. We'd love your support, but how can we make it about you also? In the sense of I don't know what's on their agenda or what they're trying to do, but if we can make it fit, I've done the ask, just in case.
I like that.
But it's also a way to introduce them to you and your project. And what
opposed to them hearing about it from someone else in like an email.
That's right.
Right.
That's right. And so I try to get allies as fast as possible. And generally speaking, on all the projects that we do, we're also taking over like empty buildings. And so,
right. So how do you respond and what did he want?
So he was like, yeah, this looks good. Great. Let's set up a meeting with my team. And I was like, okay, great. And so we set up a meeting, and then he liked it. He had the beer. He liked the beer. It was fun. And so we end up acquiring this building. And
how'd you do that?
So I'll tell you, it was a process. So the building was an old like warehouse type thing. It didn't have any licenses to make beer.
Right.
And so I go into escrow. So the land was $2 million.
Okay.
So I go into escrow and I tell the owner, I go, look, I have to go through this CUP process to get a license.
Right. How long could that take?
to make beer. This could take 6 to 9 months.
Right. So you need a long escrow. You have a contingency in place.
So I said, here's what I'd love to do. I was like, I'll give you a deposit. If you want it to go hard at some point, no problem.
Were you getting a loan for the building?
Not yet. And so I was like,
You didn't have the capital to buy it.
no.
Sure. Okay.
Yeah. So this is the game. Like,
Sure.
solve the problem in front of you. Real
Of
simple.
course. Yeah.
So the problem in front of me was we had the brewer. We had the right concept. Cool. Let me negotiate an out. So I like went direct. I went around my brokers. So I was like, you guys, let me just talk to him directly. So
Sure.
he understands. So, I'm not lying. This
Yeah.
isn't a thing. So I said, it's going to take me 6 to 9 months in order to get approval to manufacture beer at your location. I was like, I'll buy it. I'll put down a deposit. We'll open escrow, but I can't purchase your building until it gets approved, because if it doesn't get approved, I bought your building and I have nothing to do with it.
Of course.
I don't have a business. So at the time, he was very reasonable, the owner, and he goes, okay, that sounds good. And I go, great, thanks. So he accepts this roughly 6 to 9 month escrow period.
Yeah. No one else is lining up to buy this
That's right.
thing. Yeah. Next to the freeway.
Yeah, I'm the only girl at the dance.
Yeah.
It is what it is. So we start going through the process until we hire the architect. So now we're like using money, but it's not that much money yet. So it's like 10 grand to hire an architect to put together this package, a couple of drawings to submit to the city to get a beer and wine manufacturing license. And so the whole time the council member is like a big fan of ours. And so we end up getting a meeting within 6 months, which is absurd. Usually it's like a year.
Yeah.
So he's like very much helping us through. The day our meeting is the same day City Hall shut down because of COVID.
Ooh.
So now no one knows when they're going to reschedule this. No one even is considering this will be over Zoom. Zero. Right? And so I have to go to the owner and I'm like, look,
We need more time.
this is a real thing. I didn't make this up.
Yeah.
Like COVID, right? And he's like all upset. And he's like, you need to give me more money, basically. He's
Sure.
like losing his mind. And I go, yeah, cool, no problem. This is when I realized he's in a bad relationship with his partner. So he and his business partner hate each other, and this deal is a way to get them away from each other. So that's what's going on, and that's why he's upset.
Yeah.
Because he's trying to wrap this LLC up. And I'm just trying to get my project done. So we get rescheduled for 3 months later via Zoom. We get it, and we get the approval. We get the approval letter pretty quickly. And now we have a viable project, right? Now we have something a bank, to your point earlier, can fund, right? So we start looking for lending options. It's COVID. Miraculously, insurance companies came into the banking world during COVID, because they were like, this is an opportunity for us to partner with the right developers and give like construction loans plus acquisition plus
Yeah.
construction.
Like a bridge financing. Yeah. I know the insurance companies are very good
It was a lot.
for bridge funding.
Yeah.
So that's what you guys did to take it down.
Yeah.
That's incredible. What kind of what do they call it? Loan to cost? It's like 80%.
No, this was like 65%. It was good. And the interest rate was like 6, which
Yeah,
is
of
also
course.
pretty great.
Yeah.
At
Now
first,
we're getting like
yeah.
11% on those.
Yeah.
And so then you raised the
Then I
remaining-
went, so I
That's
raised
great.
basically $2 million. But again, like I think to the entrepreneur listening, I didn't have a $2 million problem at the beginning. I had a $10,000 problem at the beginning, and then a $20,000 problem, then a $40,000 problem. And then even when it comes to like construction, even if you have $2 million, you can't spend it in a month, right? It takes like your GC is going to charge you 100,000 here, 200 there. And so you have time. You have a lot of time. You just have to know how to use the time.
So you weren't raising it all up front. You were taking it as you were going.
Yeah.
And so, and obviously, if you're buying a building for $2 million and you're only putting 35% down, you don't need $2 million, but you guys
Right.
needed equipment and you guys needed everything, aprons, and you needed, branding and marketing.
Yeah.
So how's that business going? Are you still invested in it?
Yeah, look, it's almost over 3 years old now. It'll be 4 years in March. We just had a fun event with Alex Vesia of the Dodgers. He was just there. So Alex partnered with Benny Boy, the brewing company, for an IPA. And so they have a Bulldog Hazy IPA that's got Alex's face on it. So he came on Saturday to do like a meet and greet, which was super fun. And Dodgers Nation was there, and the radio stations were there, and they were interviewing them. And so it was like a fun collab. Reason being, Dodgers, the stadium is very close to Benny Boy.
Right.
And so as a business, it's going really well and people really like the outside. The fun thing about the project, to go back to the beginning, was, again, I just wanted to have a beer outside.
Right.
COVID hits, and now we look like the smartest people in the world.
Yeah.
The ban was lifted maybe 4 days before the grand opening.
Right.
So it was like we were ready.
Yeah.
And not in a patio way, in like a real, it's a beer garden.
Yes.
Fire pits. So it's like this beautiful thing. And in some way we just got, I share it because it's like, you never know how it's going to go.
100%.
And your worst seemingly nightmare in the moment could end up being your best friend. You just have to play it out.
Exactly. And that's what I love about real estate and this story that you've told, is there's so many different ways to get through a deal.
Yeah.
You opened escrow, you needed more time.
Mm-hmm.
People don't realize that different sellers have different needs. And you guys tapped into what this guy needs, according to his relationship with his partners.
Yeah.
And so I love that story. And I love how the conditions of COVID ended up making your project really work. And, coming back to that, you just never know. But the power of real estate is by getting into it, there's many different ways to succeed with it.
Yes.
And so one of the things that you mentioned, is the politicking and with the liquor licensing is a big part of being able to open up a restaurant, alcohol business. What else did you find during that development process in terms of like permitting and construction, with the building and safety department being, the most challenging?
I mean, it's all challenging. So it's all about, you have to make allies as fast as possible. I think that's one thing. And so there's a lot of people that will go in and go like, oh, F the city, F this, F that.
Right.
And to me, it's like, that's not going to get you anywhere.
No.
And so you have to go in there, and I call it like, you got to throw your sexy on. Like you got to, like, for example, here's what I do. Now this is going to, some people hate it. I don't really care. Here's what I do. When I meet a council member, I introduce them to the project and I tell them like, I need you to love me. I don't need you to like me. I don't need you to forget this meeting. You have 100 meetings today. I'm going to be the one you remember. I need you to love me. And I'm like, and I'll ask them, I'm like, do you love me? I need you to love me, because I'll be doing this for the next 30 years.
Right.
And developers and politicians have great relationships, and they can. And so like, I'm a young dude. I'll be doing this for a long time. I need you to love me.
Right.
I need you to back me. I need you to bring your kids. And so I just go in on this.
Yeah.
And I'll just say that it works, because it's also like, when you deliver, they remember the moment.
Right. Now you're not the general contractor.
No.
You're not. Now I'm getting into the weeds with the permitting. The council member's not working with the inspector that comes out to sign off on your rock electric. When you guys are going project to project, have you been able to work with some of the same vendors? So now you're working on pawn shop. You're wearing the hat.
Yeah.
Like I said at the onset, this is, in my opinion, going to be the coolest new bar in LA on Melrose. You guys are repurposing an old pawn shop, which I think has like a bit of an Art Deco kind of flair to it.
Totally.
How much do you guys rely on the past team?
Significantly.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, like I'm a big fan of, if you were with me from your first project, because think about it, at some point I'm calling subs myself, HVAC subs, being like, hey, can you take on my project? And they don't know who I am. And in some way, like, they don't even know if I have capital, right? And so they're taking a risk, and I those relationships matter to me. And so anyone that gave me a chance or worked with me at the beginning when they had no reason to, or could have easily said no, could have easily said, oh, this guy, Ventana Ventures, what is that? They chose to work with me. And so I mean, literally almost everyone I try to bring on like continuation of, because they know who I am.
That's great.
And they know they'll get paid on time.
Mm-hmm.
And they know it's fun too. It's like, we always do this thing where we'll do a soft opening for anyone that's touched the project. And so like anyone, and we do that on every, and so that's also really fun. Like
construction worker's not going to want to, be there for the opening beer.
And the best part is like, they'll bring their families, and they'll show their son like, oh, I did whatever, like they'll point to the thing they did. And that's also, there's ownership in that means something to people.
So where are you guys at now with pawn shop? And one of the things I'm curious about with a startup brand that's doing a storefront
Mm-hmm.
is with you guys, you're buying the real estate.
Mm-hmm.
You're developing the real estate. But not many people are. I know a lot of people that come on your podcast that are coming from, a startup and they're getting a retail space. They're not buying the real estate. They're not developing the real estate.
Yeah.
Where does that, become a benefit or maybe a hindrance to a young, entrepreneur that's trying to get their brand going? And, for you, it's all about buying the real estate and owning it and developing it. But,
Yeah.
Maybe sort of getting, too leveraged for someone that doesn't necessarily need to own the real estate. Where do you see it, working in that?
It's a skill set. And so it's like if you have the skill set to be able to develop real estate, I would say do it. But I think if I'm an entrepreneur, like for example, if I was solely a restaurateur, you lose time if you're trying to buy the real estate.
Right.
And so it's a distraction in some way because it's like instead of me focused on hiring my team or my chef menu, like I have to hire a GC.
Oh my God, you got to get the insurance.
That's right. It's a
You
whole
do the
other
permitting, yeah. Whole other
But
thing.
to me, the way I look at it, leaving tech specifically, so tech is a 0 to 100 game. You're either going to make 100 million or you're going to have zero. Like there's really nothing in between. And so to me, when I left tech and got into real estate, I thought, oh, wow, like if you own the real estate, you at least have the real estate. That's pretty good.
Right. It might not take you to 100.
Totally.
And you're not making, if you're being a landlord in there, you're not making too much, cash flow on it.
Yeah.
It's a drip.
But over time in LA, I was like, at least you'll make a couple million. That feels pretty good. And so I kind of look at the real estate like planting trees. It's like they'll grow. It's just that doesn't happen tomorrow.
Right.
And you're not, and so to me, the real estate was the hedge.
And a
This-
building that you own, you had told me on the way in this morning,
Yeah.
was something similar. This was on the west side. This is where you guys film your podcast. What was the story with that one?
Yeah. So there was a truck driving around LA. It was called Farm Cup Coffee. And they had this really beautiful French Citroen yellow truck that they would drive all around LA. And they normally park on like Abbot Kinney as an example, or next to like a WeWork. And I just love the commitment. So I had these guys on my podcast because I was like, wow, someone was willing to basically bring this truck over from Europe, retrofit it, and start a business. So the commitment alone I thought was spectacular. So I wanted to hear their story. So we met, and then a year later, COVID hits. So they call me and they're like, hey, Diego, we can't make money anymore because the offices are closed. And no one, like,
Right. And they would park out of WeWork. Right.
And so they said, do you want to buy our truck? And I was like, no, like I'm not in the coffee business. Why would I want to do that? And I was like, but
I love the Citron, but not that much.
But I was like, but there's a building I'm looking at buying. It's actually right here. It's in West Hollywood on Santa Monica Boulevard. And I was like, I'm looking at it. And I think it'd be kind of fun to put your truck in the building because the truck, if you think about it, is a coffee shop in a box.
Right.
So I thought, let's put the box in the building. And I think that'd be sick. Like, how fun is that? It's on Santa Monica Boulevard, super visible. And then it preserves your business. And we can do it in a COVID-friendly way where we can have a big garage door. So that way there's enough airflow, which was a requirement at the time. And then you're back in business like tomorrow. And they were like, the city would never approve that, they said to me. So then I did the same exact thing. I went to the city of West Hollywood. I met with the mayor. And I was like, here's an idea. I want you to love it.
Right.
I want you to think about it like preserving a business. You're saving a business. And at the time, she was like, this is great. And so we ended up buying that building. And
have you ever done an SBA loan as a young or as a small business owner?
Yeah.
That will occupy a certain percentage of a building. You could buy that building and have a mortgage through SBA.
Yeah. So we did it for that property.
You did it. Okay.
Yeah.
So what are the metrics on that? How much leverage will they give you, and how much of the building do you have to occupy for your business?
You have to occupy 51% of the building.
Okay.
And so in this building in particular, it was kind of fun, was that they only wanted the front. And so if you think about it, it was basically like from the frontage, you walk maybe 5 feet and the truck's right there.
Okay.
And then behind it was maybe another 1,000 square feet that they didn't want. because at the time it was during COVID. So it
Right.
was,
So they're going to be your tenant. That's
Or
not
tenant.
your business.
that's right.
Right.
But behind it was like all this 1,000 square feet where I think in a normal non-COVID world, they take it as a full coffee shop and they have seating and all the things. But because no one was doing that, right?
Yeah. SBA is not going to fund that. And that's not your business.
It's
So
not
you're-
even that. It was like no one at the time was in coffee shops anymore.
Yeah,
No
of
one was
course.
sitting.
Right.
And so I was like, what do we do at the back? And so I thought, oh, we'll make it my office.
Right.
And that's what we did. And so we made it the office, and
Preventana Ventures
that's how we got the SBA.
is buying this building. We need a 1,000 square foot office.
Yeah.
And so what do they give you in terms of LTV? So how much did the building cost?
It was 1.7 million.
Incredible.
What-
Here you are, Santa Monica Boulevard.
Yes.
What's across the street?
So it's Genesee. So it's right by like the Whole Foods over there.
Insane. $1.7 million.
Yeah.
It's like a
Which is insane.
1,500 square foot building with the roll up
It was 2,200 square feet.
parking or no?
No parking.
Okay.
No.
And so they're going to give you what, like 80%?
I think they gave us like 85%. It was
Right.
pretty wild. Yeah.
Any construction or
No, we
improvement money?
funded the construction on our own. We could have, though. We could have asked for a construction budget. But we decided not to do that because it gets very detailed sometimes in like the paperwork. If you have the cash, it's better to use it. Otherwise, the paperwork.
It's the same with the bridge loan.
Yeah.
They get all in your business with the draws and what the
Totally.
budget is. And,
Which is totally their job.
sure.
But
But it's restrictive.
yeah. And my thing is I didn't know it. Like I really had no idea
How much you're going to spend
how
on
much
it.
we're going to spend.
Yeah. But you're only on let's say the things, 2 million on it, 80%, 20%, you're only putting 400 down. You might only need like 600,000 if you think you're going to spend 200 on the improvements.
Yeah.
What's the building worth now, you think?
So our neighbor, like 3 doors down, they just sold their building, no tenant, nothing in place, not nearly as renovated as ours, and it sold for 2.2 million.
Great.
So if I had to guess, it's probably like 2.3, 2.4 right now.
Yeah. Yeah.
and
Incredible.
going up. But yeah, so I made it my office, and to me it was great because it also, when I have meetings there with people, it gives them a window into like the kind of development we do. It's unique, it's different.
It's
right?
mixed use.
It's literally like a little window into the world view that I have, and so it was kind of fun.
Yeah, and I
How
can
do
see your worldview is it's entrepreneurship, but it's got design. It's got a great, aesthetic, something creative.
Yeah,
It's opening. You're a lot of indoor, outdoor. You got that garage bit.
yeah.
So
And
that's
they're doing well. I mean, you can go today. They're great. Farm Cup Coffee.
fantastic, and that's where you guys shoot your podcast.
That's where we shoot in the back. Yeah.
Yeah, brilliant.
Yeah, and it has a
Cool.
cool patio space too. So that's the other part. It's got like a little hidden patio space, which is great.
Well, that's so much, even before COVID, but also I see in West Adams, a neighbor of ours, an apartment building we have is Fundrise, and they, opposed to building like big, 4-unit buildings along Jefferson, West Adams, they're taking these old, light industry warehouse bow trust buildings,
Yeah.
and they're really focusing on the outdoor parking areas because they say
Totally.
that the tenants are actually not going to park there, but going to use them for meetings and
That's
like
right.
foosball. And
That's right.
so that's great that you guys have that.
Yeah.
And so fast forwarding, tell us about Pawn Shop. You brought the hat in,
Yeah.
and I know you guys have been doing really cool retrofitting of this, what I thought had like an Art Deco
Totally.
look. So how did you guys pick this building up? How capitalized were you? What kind of debt did you take on it?
So the story goes, it's simple, kind of like the beer story, just wanting to have a beer outside. So after living in LA for, at the time, like 5 years, I was very confused as to why there wasn't a good sports bar in LA. And I say these things candid, like I know the owners of these places when I say their names. And so it's like, I'm a friend of theirs also. So I would say that I was like, everyone would complain about the sports bars in LA, everyone I would interact with. And I was like, it's a very transient town, LA, in some way, where nobody's really from LA. And so we all know what sports bars are. We know how great they can be in communities. And so the fact that a good one doesn't exist in LA was a little confusing. And this could also be a controversial statement to some, but whatever. And so then somebody said to me like, oh, LA is not a sports bar town. So then there's this belief out there in the world that
Right.
LA is not a sports
It's
market.
like people say LA is not a walking city,
Yes.
which is a terrible miscalculation.
Which I just think about it like, look, let's unpack it. So I thought, okay, it's got the largest baseball market in America. It now has the largest basketball market in America or in the world, right? So it's like, no, it's a sports bar town. Simple. And even if it's not, it's still a place, like people still, I could argue that I could fill the bar with the Bachelorette or Bachelor finale competition of some kind and have a bar where people have a good time and they're
Sure.
drinking and celebrating a reality show.
Right.
Same concept.
Mm-hmm.
So after hearing this for so long, we started going down the road of like, okay, let's build it, let's build it. And so I went to every sports bar in LA and I had this like metrics where I was like, I'm going to order one thing from the apps, one main, and I'll have a beer and a cocktail. And the whole idea is like, let's see what the standard is here in LA. It was terrible. From like simple stuff, like tap lines were bad. And then I would ask questions. I'd say, hey, what time is the Dodger game?
Right.
Like that day, knowing there's a Dodger game. And they'd be like, yeah, I don't know.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, okay. So I'd always ask pointed questions like, oh, what time is this game? Or what channel is this? Oh, I don't know.
Sure, yeah.
Right. And it's like, it's
always
always
around for like 10 minutes.
It's always Fox. Just guess Fox. You're going to be right. And so it's like this whole thing was annoying. And I thought to myself, like, imagine that for a second. Like, if you went to a Gucci store, you walked in and you said, do you guys sell clothing? They wouldn't not know. They would know.
Sure.
And they would help you. So the notion that you could go to a sports bar, just from a service perspective, and they don't know was beyond, it was like, that's the dumbest thing I've ever seen.
Right.
Like none of you are, and then the world makes excuses for these people. Oh, they're just trying to be an actor, and I go, still, I don't care. I don't care what they're trying to be. What they are is not great, and the owners of this place are allowing that to happen. So not even their problem.
And it's going to be your problem as an owner. You're going to have to make, sure that the staff is trained and they're focused on it. But if you build it, they'll come. And so what are you guys building? How many square foot is this building?
Yeah.
What did you pick it up for?
So it'll end up being 8,800 square feet.
Big.
2 stories. Huge. The second story has 7 private suites that look down at the bar, which is amazing.
Suites as in offices or?
No, it'll be like suites that you'd find at SoFi.
Right. Yeah. It's so cool.
And
so if it's a birthday, someone can buy that out.
Birthday, you and your boys want to hang out for fantasy football draft.
Brilliant. And then you got your own TV in there.
You have your own,
the server will come up.
You have 3 TVs. You'll have your own server. You'll have an elevated menu also. And so it'll just be like the normal menu plus some other special items because you're in a suite, which is fun.
Right. So this building's on Melrose. It's a little bit kind of more, it's just east of Highland, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so what was happening in that building when you guys bought it?
So at the time when we bought it, it was operating as a pawn shop, literally in the front. And then, it's a big building, right? So it's like a 6,000 square foot footprint, which is probably one of the largest pawn shops, at least I've ever been.
Yeah. And it was just one retail shop at the time.
Kind of. So it was like a family that had the same thing you'd find in a pawn shop. So like jewelry, purses,
Guitars.
Watches. And then what I had learned was musicians, like famous musicians in LA, would bring their guitars to the pawn shop when they would leave for tour. And the reason they did that was because those guitars are worth something. And if they leave them in the house, generally speaking, people know where they live.
Right.
And so they'd bring them to the pawn shop. A pawn shop is insured. And so if something were to happen to the guitars, they're sort of like double insured as a business plus the guitar.
Yeah.
So it's really interesting. And so that means they had this entire room, like huge room of equipment, like guitars, drums, you name it. It was like a big room. And so then the way they had the space and why it was so big started to make more sense. It wasn't just it was like a room of music equipment. It was a room of watches, some storage facility.
Interesting.
And so it was like kind of cool. And I got to know the Gintel family owned it. So I got to meet them and spend a lot of time with them.
And was the store open when you guys bought it?
Yeah.
Okay. So they were looking to wind down the business.
Yeah.
It's all going online probably.
Exactly.
And so was it on the market?
It was on the market. I think they originally wanted $7 million, which is probably the right number in that area.
Yeah.
But
when did you guys buy it?
We bought it February 2023 for $5.033 million.
Mm-hmm.
And it was peak inflation, which is also an interesting tidbit to this whole thing. So nobody was in the market. Peak inflation, like interest rates at like 12. It was crazy.
Right.
And so because of that,
Yeah.
I think like we were able to strike a deal that made sense for us, knowing we're the only buyer and we have to endure the slog of inflation. And
Sure.
we don't know at the time, no one knew how long it would be. And it was clear like the family also wanted to be out.
Right.
And so we struck on a number that I felt like gave us a great basis and seemed like it made sense for the sellers.
Did you guys know that you could get zoned for retail? Well, it's retail, but you have to go through the licensing again, right? So
That's
you
right.
had that whole thing.
Yeah. So we did have the restaurant approval in terms of zoning, but
That was already on the building.
yes.
Oh, that's cool.
What we didn't have was the liquor license.
Right.
And
But
so
you'd done it before, and you know how to get the councilman to fall in love with you.
So here was the problem. We were buying the building and it was an election season.
Okay.
And so,
And you're doing a loan on it again, right?
Mhm.
Okay.
Yep.
And so not SBA, but just this,
Just like whoever could fund us.
right. And it was going to kind of be bridge financing, right?
Totally.
Okay.
Yeah. So not ideal. And it's an election season. And the guy that we thought was going to win the election didn't. So now we have to start a new relationship with a new council member.
Mhm.
Generally speaking, freshman council members do not take sides on anything because they're trying to figure it out.
Right.
They're getting their feet wet. They're learning who are the players.
But you're already in escrow.
I'm already in escrow. So I'm already pregnant is what I say to, my girlfriend hates when I say that, but it's like, yep, you're already,
She's like, I want to be pregnant.
we're already there. And I'm like, okay, so we have to start a new relationship with the new council member. And he is like, yeah, I kind of like it, but didn't love it at the time because he's being smart. He is figuring out who does he need to align himself with in this new district that he has taken over. And this usually lasts a year. It's normal for any council member. So we're like, God damn. And the other part of this problem is this building is right outside Larchmont in Hancock Park.
Yes.
Okay. I had gotten alcohol approvals in the past. This was by far the most organized opponent I had ever gone up against.
Which are the wealthy property owners in Hancock
by the way,
Park.
I live in Larchmont. So here's the thing. I live in Larchmont. I'm a member of the LATC Tennis Club, which is across the street from the bar. I'm on the board. I'm joining Wilshire Country Club, which is also right there. And so the people that are like hating me, I see them every day.
Yeah.
And so here was the problem. So the problem was we're bringing an upscale sports bar with incredible design. We have an incredible architect, a James Beard Award winner, tons of very notable people on the cap table. And I can't tell them who they are because I need to save it for marketing. But in their head, I'm opening up sports bar.
Yeah, they don't really know what it's going to be.
And so what they're hearing is he's going to open up this dingy club that shows sports on TV.
Right. So your job is to let them know that it's not that and to demonstrate that.
So I'm in countless meetings trying to do that. But
Yeah.
they don't believe me because the developers lie sometimes, apparently. And so it's like, all right, well.
But you got it through. It's approved, obviously. And when do you think it could open?
So I'll just say this. We got it through. I hired interns to go door knock all over.
Amazing.
And so we got I want to say almost 150 letters of support.
Oh, brilliant.
And so that's something you have to do as a developer. You have to really be willing to go knock doors. And we did it. We had a couple interns that did it because when you go to the hearing, that matters a lot.
Right.
Like the zoning administrator asks, how many letters of support has this
There,
project
150.
received?
Boom.
Yeah. And it's from who, right? So it's residents, churches help a lot, schools.
Mm-hmm.
So if you can get the schools to back you,
yeah,
then you're okay.
Brilliant.
So you have to do those tactical things. Right now, probably opening in Q1. So January or February, March of next year. Coming up right before the World Cup, it's going to be amazing. And we just keep adding so many legends to the cap table.
Right.
It's kind of wild. Yeah.
Yeah. Outstanding. Well, as we're kind of winding this down, one trend that I'm seeing in my business, which is residential real estate, selling people houses, and then also managing my own apartment units, is that higher level service returns itself by a good customer base. And people today, are complaining that there's a lot of competition and it's hard to, manage the costs and to stand out and succeed. But as I go around at different coffee shops and I see different, you know, you know, buildings, and I see different, businesses that are successful. What I see, and I'm wondering if you can relate to this, is a higher level of service. As the market gets more saturated, you have to, and people pay and they respond to an elevated service. Even if it's just, a plumber that you're hiring, people expect it and they respond to it.
Yeah.
How much do you see that in, your stuff, or even the guests that you have on your show
Yeah.
that are successful because they're really focusing on the customer experience?
To me, there's this is like a saying in tech, but it's like how you do something, or how you do anything is how you do everything. And so it's this notion that if you're a great chef and you're willing to give someone this incredible meal, you have to be willing to match across the board your entire order. And so what does that mean? A good coffee has to match a good design, has to match your good hiring, has to have a friendly person giving you the coffee.
Right.
All these little things, even the
Yeah.
stopper that they put in the coffee cup has to match your
Yeah, or how the transaction goes with the payment. And
every little detail matters. And
yeah.
if any one of those details is off, the customer experience is shot. And so to me, it's like you have to be great. And to me, I kind of like it actually, because it means like if it's so hard to open a business anyway. So if you're already doing it, you're already pregnant, why not just go full? Like just commit to every little detail of the business. And at the end of the day, like customer service will always win. And even in the moments where it doesn't work, like even in the moment where you let down a customer, or like you messed up their order, which will happen, how you handle that is probably even more important. Like an apology. Oh, I'm so sorry. Here's a
You get a
card
percent.
for next time.
A bad review on Yelp, you jump in there, you ask them to come back.
Yeah.
What's next for you? Obviously you're, knee deep in pawn shop, and it's a big push to get that opened.
Yeah.
But where do you see Ventana and yourself, looking to grow on the next endeavor?
There's a couple things. And so I think like one thing at this point, based on the cap table we have and the players we have involved, we'll make Pawn Shop a national brand. And so it'll be something that people know nationally. We'll expand it to every major market. And so Vegas is probably the second place we'll go. And then we'll bring a pawn shop to Dallas.
There's going to be a lot of
New York
old pawn shop buildings to buy in Vegas, I'm sure.
Yeah. I mean, look, MGM wants to partner with us at this time. So we'll see where that goes. So in some cases, we might not be able to own the real estate. So I think that's where at least Ventana Ventures with Pawn Shop will go into this multinational company.
Right.
And I think we're setting the groundwork for that now. In terms of just me personally and with Ventana locally, once you do a project in a community like Larchmont or Hollywood, where I'm doing it now, and if you can pull it off and it's a success, what's interesting is the same community that maybe hated you during the liquor approval will all of a sudden say, oh, wow, he's actually a developer that builds nice things for us.
Mm-hmm. What are they doing next?
Let's do something here.
Right.
And so I'm looking at buildings now. So I'm getting approached now already where people are saying, oh, what can we do here? And some of the owners in Larchmont, they don't want to sell. They don't want to put anything on the market. And so it's generally speaking, these off-market stuff. And so I'm being approached now for different concepts already in Larchmont, which is also fun because it's like I live there. And you want to generally build where you live. You want to put the roots, and really grow them. And so I know Pawn Shop will become a multinational brand. And then locally, I'll just hyper-focus on where I live and try to build fun stuff that, creates like a more thriving community.
Yeah, that's fantastic. Well, this has been very interesting, and I always like to end the show with the same series of questions for every guest.
Okay.
So as we look to wind it down, I want to know, what would you have done different going back 10 years? If you would look at yourself 10 years ago and you could change it, what would it be?
I just think it's not even a thing I would have done different. It's more of like, I've learned that worry has no value. And so that's a big one. Like, we spend so much of our 20s, I think, trying to get it right, early 30s, trying to get it right. And so you spend a lot of time worrying. And
that reminds me, the guy that introduces Clark, he has this expression about like the 20s, 30s, and 40s, or it's like 30s, 40s, and 50s. In our 30s, we're it's all about the destination.
Mm-hmm.
And then, the 40s, it's all about, enjoying the dream. But in the 50s, you realize it's all about who you're with.
Yeah. So I'd like to think, for me, I try to learn those lessons a lot sooner, like a decade sooner if I can. And the worry one is the one that I've just recently gotten over, where now it's all about the people.
I love it. Oh, yeah.
That's all it's about.
Yeah. Not worrying about the outcome, knowing you're in bed and you're pregnant with the right people.
But you have to trust yourself too. Like I think in your 20s, the reason you're freaking out is because you're in the skills acquisitions game. So you're learning new things. You're learning how to sell, or you're learning how to code, and you don't know if you're good.
Mm-hmm.
So you have a lot of self-doubt. Like, am I really a good salesperson? Am I really a good coder? You don't know.
Yeah.
Even though the world might tell you like, oh, you're one of the best, or you're at MIT or something, there's always something to say you're probably good.
Right.
You don't believe it.
Yeah.
And so like the worry of just letting go of all of it, of that, not only am I good enough, but also the outcome.
Right.
And I think that's what's been my superpower as of late. And
Right.
It's like incredible.
I love that.
I bring a lot of calmness now to what I'm working on, which is very helpful.
Yeah, I can feel that.
Yeah.
No, it's a great answer. I think for everyone, as we mature, we start realizing you can't sweat the small stuff, and everything, works out.
Yeah.
And, there's no point in stressing and freaking about stuff you can't necessarily control. You just got to see how the cards fall, and know that if you work hard, like you said, and you have good intentions, it's usually going to play out in the right way and the way it should.
Totally.
So the next question is favorite book, movie, or song.
The latest book I'm reading, oh God, I'm going to pull this up.
Sure.
It is,
And this is reading, not audio book.
so I do two. I have two books. So one of the books is the 38 letters from J.D. Rockefeller to his son.
Oh, cool.
And then the other one
Rockefeller, the Accountant Railroad.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then the other one is Outwitting the Devil. It sounds religious, but it's not. And so the 38 letters that Rockefeller wrote his son, he's giving him advice. And the letters are all about, and again, these letters were written, I don't know, 200 years ago. And so he's saying like, it's going to be hard, and it's going to take all of you, and you're going to want to fucking die or quit, and you just have to keep going. And so it's this like real honesty that I think it's lost today in culture and on like Instagram, right?
Yeah.
Even before Instagram, there was this notion that like, oh, I started a tech company, then I'm a billionaire, right?
Right.
It's like, and it's going to kick your ass in a real way. And so that book is a man writing, he's trying to help his son by being honest with him, not saying like, don't take risks. He's saying like, take the risks and just keep going.
Right.
And then the other book, Outwitting the Devil, it's a book written like maybe like 70 years ago. And I think it's just all about the things people say to themselves to not achieve. And so the worry is a part of it. And then there's a whole, it's a great book. It's a really
Right. And the devil might be the voice in you saying you're not to do this.
Yeah.
This is what's stopping you.
That's right. Yeah.
Yeah. Brilliant.
So those are the two.
Awesome. Great. I'm going to check those out. And so the final question is, what's it all for? Right. Some people say that, you try and find the one thing and everything feeds that. So, why are you doing all this?
For me, it's just always been about legacy, honestly. It's like always been about, I don't have a family yet, but to me, it's like always been about giving a window to your kids, giving them a window into a world that you would have never seen before. And so everything I'm doing is like, I'm really a pioneer. My family has never seen any of the things I'm doing. And the people I talk to, like the Mark Cubans of the world, it's insanity, where I'm at, I think, coming from where I came from. And so to me, but none of it matters if your kids can't enjoy it. It's for them. It's not for me. I don't even have kids, but to me, and so for now, it's like about my family, my nephews. And I think that makes you honest. It makes the work. You have to have a purpose. A man without purpose is frankly lost. It has to be bigger than you.
Mm-hmm.
If it's about you, it'll never work. It has to be bigger than you.
Yeah. What's left behind.
And that can be your team or your family. And so for me, it's all about, I just want to be the guy that at the end of the day, my kids one day think I'm like, wow, like he's like a sports bar owner. That's pretty fucking cool.
Right.
And that's it. Like they're not going to know the money. They're not going to care. Nobody cares about that stuff.
No, again, like bringing it back to this crossroads, which I was really excited for in this interview between, real estate and startup. With a lot of real estate apartments or single family home developers, it's like no one sees it. There's no sign on the building. It's just, it's a passive income. It's it's an asset that makes you money, but it's not publicly known. But with retail and storefront, it's a brand.
Yeah.
And so there's definitely an opportunity, to leave a legacy that's known and a name, and all you're doing for the young, people that are in the, trying to aspire to do what you're doing and mentor them. You're obviously having a huge impact on them. So
It's all about impact, honestly. That's really also what it's all about.
cool.
It's just trying to have the maximum amount of impact you can.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, this has been impactful. So thanks for coming on and chatting.
Thanks, Ari. Appreciate it. Yeah. Appreciate you.
Yeah.
Thanks for having me.
Cool.